Let's talk about this issue of corruption. It's really on the front page of both pages. Anytime we have our guests here, the first thing we always ask is, what do you make on the fight against corruption? Is it heading in the right way or the wrong direction? Bishop, I'll start with you. When you see all this, what comes to your mind?
Corruption is a malaise that we need to fight all the time. And we don't stop to gauge, but we need to engage all manner and use all the resources within to fight corruption. Because it is a malaise, it is a sickness. Call it all the bad names, we call it sin. And we need to fight it within as a spiritual aspect and from without as in the society. And all peoples, not only the government, but the citizenry have a role in fighting corruption.
Is that happening as we speak? Do you think it's heading in the right direction? Are we fighting corruption?
It's heading to the right direction, but I think there is a bit of politics around here which is trying to camouflage. But we need now to wait on the politicians so that we can get what is it that we are looking at, so that we don't cloud it with personal issues. Mm-hmm. So we need to get what is it that we are talking about.
Christine, with claims of a witch hunt in the air, how believable is the war on corruption for you?
For me, I see a lot of heat, very little light. Even if the headlines are constantly telling us about a new scandal every other day, right? There's even no breathing room to think about what we are reading and what we are hearing, right? I see very little interrogation, I would say, on the nature of our political settlement that creates this kind of problem.
Interrogation by who? By the media?
By the media, by citizens, by people of conscience, let me put it that way. Because it's one thing to kind of bombard the public with all these headlines of what is happening. It's another thing to bring insight and meaning and try and understand why. Why is this happening? And the way we use corruption, my friend Keguro Masharia calls it a political vernacular. We just say corruption, but we actually never think of what that means. It's loaded, it's a packed statement that encompasses so many things, right? And encompasses the nature of how our politics is played. But we use it as a vernacular. You know, in vernacular, you don't have to explain why something is called something. Mbuzi is just a mbuzi. You get? So we kind of throw around these words. And earlier we were talking about the need for definitional clarity, that sometimes these words are just used as shorthand, really, when I think they need us to sit with them a little bit more, and not just the words, even the stories that are coming out, and some kind of sustaining of the call for accountability on a certain scandal, instead of just the flood of issues, which kind of leads to a sort of paralysis, I would say, in the public. It makes people think
the flood is almost counterproductive.
Exactly. If we could sit with some things for a while and spend some time analyzing and understanding and raising the questions, then I think it would empower people rather than discourage them.
Okay. Dr. Alphonse, what do you make of it, the fight against graft?
One is that now that we sit now and then and people are talking about it, it means something is happening. Because if you don't talk about it, then nothing is happening. But as my colleague says, there is a lot of collection of data. After you collect the data, you identify issues. After you identify issues, you confront those issues. And that point of confrontation of issues is where we are. After you confront the issues, there must be an assignment or there must be an action. That's where we are, going round and round and round. Data has been collected, issues have been identified. What about the confrontation of those particular issues through the right system, through the law as is laid in the Constitution? That's where we are. That's where we are going round and round and round and round. But the issue of we talking about it every day, to me it's great. Because if you don't talk about it, then nothing much is happening.
So you don't think the action is sufficient as we stand?
It's just for now, I don't think it is. Whereas there is a lot of issues that you can see them, on the table. You can see them on the wall. 1, 2, 3. Now, how do you confront and move on from there? That's where we are. How do you confront it? Through the late system, so that people can really feel that this has happened.
Wakili, members of the public sometimes feel that those in your profession are part of the reason why fighting graft in this country has become a challenge. And I want to start from there as I ask you, how do you feel about the current war on corruption?
Thank you very much, Oiga. To defend the lawyers, it is our job. We have no another job. The priests are here. Their job is to administer the word of God. So that is our role. What is the problem?
I was going to ask, are they doing a good job? But
they are doing a good job.
They are doing a good job. Let me not skip to chapter 2. We are still on chapter 1.
Let me tell you, Ohiga, the problem about corruption is one. When you politicize a criminal action, corruption is defined in criminal terms, either in the Anti-Corruption Act or in the Penal Code. What we have is a political definition of a criminal element. Crime is not investigated the way we are seeing it is being done now. What we are seeing are crime investigators, arms of government that are entrusted to do a procedural work in terms of investigation going to the political arena. Crime is not fought by how many people you arrest. It is what evidence do you have. I'll tell you for free, Wahiga, when it started, I was with you on the show, and I told you that conviction is what determines the fight against corruption. It is not numbers on TV, thousands arrested, hundreds arrested. It is who has been convicted. When the DCI, when the EACC arrest these people and bring them to court, to date, the cases that started way back in August, they have, when the people were taken and they took a plea, the investigators to date are asking for more time to investigate. So we are likely to see all these ministers being brought to court tomorrow. They'll be given cash bail. There will be no evidence to start.
What have you said tomorrow? What do you know?
Whatever there is. You see, the state,
the crystal ball.
The state, you cannot stop the DPP from charging anybody under Article 157. But the question the defense team, where we are being blamed, is, as we now say, yes, you have charged this person, produce cogent evidence, not hearsay. They don't have. So, in my view, this does not help any Kenyan. And I'm telling the Kenyans here that either the president is not being told the truth. The Chief Justice has put it very clearly. It is not perception. It is not explanation. It is the procedure. The threshold to convict somebody, it is the burden shifts to the government. It is beyond any reasonable doubt. So if there is doubt, the judges will acquit the person. So in my own view, Kenyans, we are being taken for a ride to have such expectations, such euphoria, the euphoria of 2007, when we were made to believe certain things. When that euphoria backfired, we went to the post-election violence. So if this euphoria being created, that people are going to be charged, money is going to be returned. When Kenyans reach a point and find that there is no conviction, I hope the men of the collar will save us to tone our expectation. So my own view,
we invited you as a lawyer.
Which institution is failing here? Is it the investigating institutions or what? Because when you say that there is no evidence, is it a matter of no evidence or the lack of the will to give that evidence? Because we've had situations whereby people are out there, they're given bail, then they go and influence the same evidence you're looking for.
It is the Kenyans who said there is no offense that is not bailable. Plus that DCI, he voted for the Constitution. Plus that EACC boss, he voted for that Constitution. Plus the President, he voted for that.
Okay, you assume
Article 49 cannot now change because of certain circumstances. We spoke and allowed bail. It is laughable when you are telling me that a one person who has been given bail is able to beat a system. Is Kenya a banana country? No way. How many security forces and agencies do we have? Those are drama. If somebody has been given bail, the courts have been very clear. You are not allowed to go to court, to the offices. But what did we say? Any constitutional office holder cannot exit. Why do we have a double standard? The standard is constitutional, that any constitutional holder, a member of parliament, a president, a deputy president, will not vacate office. Why? It is us who insulated them. Why are we crying? So let us not waste time making applications that are emotional to court to convince Kenyans that the court is the problem. The court cannot create the law. The court will interpret the law the way we put it in the Constitution. Okay. So that is what I'm saying, that we are crying over nothing. Too bad.
We invited you as the lawyer. You've also played the part of a prophet of doom. Bishop, you have to respond.
Yes. Perhaps I find there is something that two people are conniving in order not to make the courts thrive, because they are saying evidence. But I think there is a movement, which I don't know where it is, because I deal with the spiritual world, yes. to destroy evidence. And I think the government need to be wise in protecting the material and everything that they have, so that prosecution can lead to action. So I think there is an underground movement by people that when they go to court, they say, where is evidence? And the evidence was taken long back, destroyed. And that is why we need to watch. And Christian here mentioned that we need to deepen. We don't want to jump into the bandwagon before we discern what is it that we are fighting. Are we fighting a country that is destroying itself? That there is no moral, ethical basis that has been eroded by, say, for example, people who are in the political spectrum. So we need, as a country, to decide on how we move, to look into issues and discern them, scrutinize them, and when we are ready, then we can come like a good chef. After burning his fingers in the oven, will bring a nice cake. So we don't do that, we just rush.
Can I respond to that? Wakili has said that corruption, our approach to it right now is very much restricted to the courts, right? To a legal and a criminal sense, right? But like I said in my earlier, what we started with is that corruption has a lot to do with the nature of our politics, of our political settlement. A friend of mine once said that other countries have a mafia, but in Kenya, the mafia have a country, right? So if we're living in a place where the mafia have a country, then surely corruption is not an aberration. It is baked into the nature of the structure, right? And so we need to deepen our analysis, right? And if we're going to fight it or combat it, right? Then we cannot approach it as an aberration. We can't imagine that it's an unfortunate byproduct of our politics. It's not. It's very much in the center. It's very much in the center, and changing that needs a deeper understanding and a commitment to upheaval. Let me put it that way, to upheaval. This is not going to happen with little incremental changes, right? It has to, and it's not even going to happen with another legal framework, because you saw, like, we did a whole new constitution, right? And yet we are still here. So again, it's not a niche kind of technical issue. With the right policies, it will be fixed. I mean, this is something that...
So a referendum won't save us?
Of course not. We tried that. We did that. I mean, really. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying, that that deeper analysis, right? And I think I'm so fortunate to be in this panel with clergy, people who are able to give us the language, right, to go into the deep things of life. And if we're able to see our existence as Kenyans, as Africans, as human beings from a very kind of holistic and deep level, then I think we'll have a better chance than thinking of it from a very neoliberal kind of technocratic understanding of like, we just need the right policies. You know, the idea that the problem in Kenya is implementation. The laws are fine, but implementation is the problem. I'm like, no, this is a colonial state. What do you mean implementation is the problem? I mean, the structure basically was built for enclosure, for appropriation, for exploitation. That logic has never really been dismantled. And so when we're talking about fighting corruption or changing the system, I mean, we have to go deep into the marrow. This is not a cosmetic thing on the skin.
You're turning heads as you speak. Let's get some reactions.
This is what I'll think it is. Corruption is purely a mindset that has been developed for a long time in this nation. And then it has been right from our foundation that we need to rewire it again. People have been wired a particular style of thought line, that this is how things are done. This is how I can get rich. This is how I can get where I want. And then it has been developed quite for some time, that we need to go back, as she said, and try to rewire that, to reorganize that, so that as young people come up, we develop in a thought line that you don't acquire this through this particular method. There's a system how people think and do their things. So what's corruption? A mindset that needs to be changed from a wrong mindset to the right mindset.
It's a mindset we've developed for over 50 years.
Yes.
How long will it take to change that?
And where do we even start?
We will start from the schools. 50 years, people come and go. There are young children in school that need to be developed. There's a change of mind through explanation, reading, development of material, sitting on the round table, a structured discussion on how to do it together.
So those of us sitting on this table are too old to start that.
Too far
gone.
Willing. There is also the willing of a person. Am I willing to change? Can we have a structured, organized talk that we can decide as a nation? We started here, but something went wrong here. Now from here, where do we go?
All right.
Now can we structure you through the spiritual mind, through the academic line, through the philosophical mind, through the all types of thought line?
Yeah.
When you change the thought line, you have a nation.
All right.
Before you change your thought line,
And that is a good point to take the break, because when we come back, we go into the spiritual line that you're talking about, and whether the clergy have played their role in fighting corruption. We'll come back in just a bit. Remember, the hashtag is Daybreak 224222. Text, tweet at Trevor Mbinja, at Waiga Mwaura, at Citizen Kenya. You can call in live as well. The numbers will be underneath your screen.
I think you already have a message there.
Yes, we have several of them here, but should we take them now?
There's just one that's very interesting. It's provoking. I saw it and I thought it's really provoking thought.
Muneni Muthusi says, church in Kenya conceived, nurtured and babysitted corruption. We cannot therefore expect them to lead the anti-corruption purge.
They'll respond to that after the break. That's why you need to stay tuned.
Back in just a bit.